Shifting to a new shade of now on his own kaleidoscope of life, Lester Hoggins stood hesitant, pondering the new wooden sign presented before him on the precociously silent cobblestone corner of Wenston Avenue. Lester was reminded of folklore from the old world Riversteele, which claimed tree wizards cast binding spells that prevented the bark to be cut down. If it was before they could get around to doing so, they vowed vengeance to bind their next compiled spellbook with the flesh of the culprit, tracking down their scent from the remaining protruding tree stumps. Or Lester wondered if the wood that the sign had been carved from was such a case, as it was one for a shaman that Lester swore that wasn't there yesterday on this mysteriously whatever street. It didn't have a resemblance of formality whatsoever, a dark brown slab with an ad plastered up front like a dried giant piece of beef jerky than a business offering. If Lester himself ever fancied the teases of Riversteele's folklore suggestions, the least he could do was begin to muster was that salvaging one's own virtual, personal, holier-than-thine treasured truffle pig, or rather bloodhound for scheming black magic, might end up either way. Not to mention turning a pig into a truffle itself after. Lester chuckled a trifle at the thought of this, followed by his natural supposition that someone or something in disguise to favor business would likely have enhanced senses other than sensitive smell, folklore or not. The square was far from busy, yet Lester didn't feel an impulse to lollygag at the sign of that one, Gypsy Angela McCready. There wasn't much specificity, no hours, no dollar sign. Yet simple as a New York City cafe chalkboard on a sidewalk. The silence out here, without even birds or a single crow or raven call. Not even the galaxy is busy. Lester was beginning to imagine more that might get unsettling if he didn't start moving, before he could hear a single bat's wing nearing dusk. He had been trying to overcome recent agoraphobia enough to have come to the square market today to buy the ring and encourage his promise to himself and to her. He impulsively felt the filmy lump of the ring box through the plastic bag he held on autopilot. He bought it. He got it. This solidified he would next figure out how and when to present the pop. One thing assured another for confidence. Walk down the hill and go in. Walk in today. Now. Gypsy McCready is ready when her suckers are for guidance, I guess. Move one muscle and then the rest will cooperate. You made it out of the pawn shop. Like a buttered up lobster down a water slide, Lester ran down without knocking, for the quick decision of his business with a gypsy seemed all the more urgent, which it fairly was to his life decision list. He thus blocked out all of the funny rumors he'd heard about someone who may or may not prove to be a charlatan. He waited to catch his breath and thought, my future faith depends on this day. Attaboy. Silly or not, persisting or not, rumors can race through one's head and still not be a substitute for ultimate experience of one's own. I and I alone am responsible for igniting my initiative. Anyone can tell you that. I flew like a flip book with happy thoughts. If this gypsy has pixie dust lying around here somewhere, Lester's calm began sinking in since he made it indoors, and rather abruptly, and at the risk of interrupting. The gypsy's hut looked to be in 2 rooms, at least, that she let on. It was dark in here, even though it was almost late afternoon. Also, from Lester's supposition, a gypsy might make a place of business, and fortune-telling looked cliché on purpose, in the hopes of eventual folks who will be able to look into her soul as she should theirs. What else can they expect? If she didn't, she wouldn't seem like she's doing her job. On the table against the wall adjacent to the door, littered with incense, smoke curling up into the air's essence, budding fire stubs on old round candle wax, a little sign in a wooden frame. Even flickers can be beacons. The atmosphere comforting, silent as a library, yet better than outside where a chilling wind is apt to whisper dark secrets of the past on earth or future to particular ears. He did not see any out to catch lunch sign if she had a sense of humor he didn't anticipate. "Who's there?" the gypsy's voice called from somewhere within. Lester sighed relief and looked around. The smell of musk and incense swung like a metaphysically hypnotic pendulum upon his senses. He answered, Lester Hoggins, madam. Maybe you could help me with my situation regarding a new ring?" His voice didn't sound as amplified. At least it's hers. The atmosphere quickly grasping influence, he was glad he spoke to a stranger with near startling ease. At least to him. He half expected the room to begin floating at any moment, and he with it. He did not wish to look as though he had suspicious contempt either. So, I thought of an iceberg even before she appeared. "Sorry, say, your sign could use a catchy slogan like, a dime for your time." He looked around for a sign of her response, and out of the dark back room behind a bead curtain emerged Gypsy McCready. With a typical gypsy appearance. No price is worth as much as time. It flows as the bloodstream, and my price is both the size of the heart of what a customer may be willing to sacrifice or give. Funny how she said give a little more emphatically than sacrifice. Lester let her frugal offer sink in. He observed her appearance. Indeed, she was about 2 feet shorter than he, wearing a robin's egg blue bonnet appropriately blazoned with rusty tangerine splashes on their frontal feathers. She also beheld a vanilla ivory dress as formal for a bride. Did she know already? Lester simultaneously wondered what she wore when off duty, and if the colors and robins had something to do with purity as much as the incense. You gotta do what you can for atmosphere. She had a sort of throaty, distinctively high-pitched voice that reminded Lester of Eartha Kitt, the actress. He could find out later if she was either from somewhere in the Caribbean or like Barbados or Native American. She seemed warm and grandmotherly, welcoming and slow from the get-go here, and careful. What kind of ring do you need? A mood? An onion? Gypsy McCready asked in a deadpan tone. Lester paused and chuckled. "Oh, I'm not looking for a ring. I've got one. Here, fishing the little box from his pocket. The thing is, I'd like you to possibly help me guide to the woman I wish to propose to it with, but like Ford said, if it's not one shing, it's your mudger. Lester waited for her to laugh in an awkward pause and not even a cricket's chirp, as if to say, boo. Not even that. He wasn't sure absolutely if she knew who Sigmund Freud was, if he knew where she was from geographically or not, or if famed figures get around to wherever she was from. So he kept his lip tight until the next moment to try to get her to stifle a chuckle. Sit at my table, lad. Let me look at this ring. Whatever you wish, Claire of the Voyant. I'm paying for it. Despite the tinted shade, his eyes might have deceived him that she smirked briefly. After all. He did as she asked and handed over the ring. She opened it with as much careful hesitation as if he had told her that it contained either the first doubloon of Blackbeard, Ebertich itself, or Black Widow. Lifting and shutting it twice before pulling the box fully open like the radiating ring was as shiny as a headlight on an encrusted Rolls Royce. His eyes may have deceived him a second time. He saw her bring it up to her close to her nose to inspect, and she may, or may not have, smelled the ring like a piece of fruit. Maybe the incense was getting to him. Do gypsies have guiding, strong sense abilities like from artifacts where human sweat remnants of salt once were, like hound dogs tracing contraband? He'd almost rather not know. Opal. She relished like a Coney Island hot dog. Is that going to prognosticate the hand in marriage I covet? She floated over to him, close enough to grab his shirt in some kind of possible desperation had she possessed any that exceeded his, but rather grinned upon looking at him, as though she wished to exhibit gentle work pride. Yes, but only necessarily enough from you to initiate, my dear strapping, ambitious lad. She sighed as though one of particular relief. You make my heart full and have opened the door to opportunity for you, your dearly beloved to be, and I. Lester wasn't immediately absolutely sure how she meant by this, except the relief rubbed off on him all the same. So it's doable? Are you ordained to perform marriage ceremonies, or do you know a priest at any discount? If I may, your hut here would make a nice place for it. Hope starting to bloom. Well, yes, if I may request that myself, I kind of tend to need to stay within bounds of it, to, so to speak, business-wise. Tell me about this woman, and I'll let you be on your way for the appointed date. Lester's brief face expelled enchantment from the wave of relief that had increased into it took a moment to wear off upon realizing Gypsy McCready moved unusually quick for someone her seeming middle age, as he didn't realize she had veered off to the schedule book on the table to his left until she spoke up again. Just consider me an ordaining head honcho of this virtual substitute chapel had I required help beyond yours. Oh, what do you want to do, read tea leaves? Oh no, unless you wished for the typical psychic mandatory routine. Come sit down, tell me whom you wish to marry you to. Wish me to marry you to, and I can get her even this time next week, if I deem it your desire thus worthy. She did still feel his veins with her hand. With his hand grasping her own without much expression. Oh, golly, I wouldn't lie to you. What could I say to gloat that Edgar Allan Poe or Shakespeare haven't already lived up to in the fullest intent of sentiment? Her name is Victoria, and I only now wished my name was Victor. Full, please, McCready interjected. Huh? Her full name, please. Victoria Struthers. Victoria Helen Struthers.